letting Mr. Keller go.
The current waste contract, is that a 6-year or 5-year?
5 years.
5 years.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the September 10th, 2024 Finance Meeting. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a short one. Let's say that now. At this point in time, I will yield the floor to Chairman Westcott.
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome everyone tonight. A few things on our agenda, beginning here with number 1. It's an appropriation request from the reserves of the Oakland Cemetery Fund, the sum of $30,568 to be used to provide funding to install fencing along the west side of Oakland Cemetery. What is the will of the Finance Committee regarding item number 1?
Mr. Chairman, I move item 1 to be advanced to the full council with the recommendation of due pass.
Okay,
Second.
second. Any discussion on item number 1?
I do have a question. Is this another part of the fence? I know we had approved.
Yes, this is additional fencing.
Is this going to close it out?
I'm not sure if it's closing it out completely, but this is an additional section of fencing.
Okay.
Yes.
I think the wording was that this was to finalize the
Close it out. Okay.
closing of that. At least
Yeah.
that's the way I interpreted it, and would help prevent people from driving through a portion of the cemetery that's not made for through traffic.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on item number 1? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2 is consideration of a resolution that would approve an airport ground lease and hangar development agreement between the City of Russellville, Arkansas, a municipal corporation, and Tim Hill, that would also authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to sign that airport ground lease and hangar development agreement with Tim Hill for the lease of certain lands and development of an airport hangar on the leased lands and for other purposes, sponsored by the airport. I move that we forward item number 2 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Killer. Is any discussion on item number 2?
Yeah, I'd like to hear what it's all about.
Okay, perfect.
Mr. Karp, would you approach the microphone and please introduce yourself for those at home watching?
I'm Patrick Karp, the airport manager here at Russellville. And what this is a land lease, like Mr. Westcott said, a land lease between Mr. Tim Hill, a tenant on our airport, and the city of Russellville. This will allow him to build a 3,000 square foot hangar on our airport, and we will charge an amount per year. It'll be 30 cents per square foot, adjusted every 5 years. Should the extension term be exercised, an extra 10 cents will be added on to that charge per square footage. Are there any specific questions that you have?
Is there a contract, or, I mean, how's that gonna work?
Yeah, there's a land lease contract, yes.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
would love to see that before
Okay.
the next meeting.
Because we have
That's in
multiple
the
land
paperwork,
leases
I
out there right
believe.
now.
Right,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
and I get
So,
that, I just wanna check
That,
that.
that's in our
Is it
packet.
in the packet?
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And Mr. Karp, this contract brings us more in line with the what's now a more standardized contract in similar sized airports. Is that
Yes, sir,
correct?
it does.
Correct. Okay.
Are our hangars currently full? Is that why we need to build one? How's that?
They are. We currently have a hangar wait list of 28 people.
Okay.
Okay.
If you would stay there for item 3, I believe, too.
Were there any other questions specifically for Mr. Karp from the committee or anybody else here on the council?
Real quick, one more question, I'm sorry. Are we building it? He's leasing it? Is he building it? What's how's
We're
that?
leasing the ground to him, and all the expenses are incurred by Mr. Hill.
So he's the capital?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
You said there was how big of the hangar did you say?
3,000 square foot.
3,000, and that's 30 cents a square foot.
30 cents a square foot, adjusted by CPI every 5 years. And should the extension term be exercised, there'll be an extra 10 cents added to.
Is the initial term 20 or 25 years?
Initial term is 30 years.
30 years, and then what's the extension?
10 years.
10 years. So it could go to 40 years.
It could go to 40 years. Now, in the lease, it does give the city the first right of refusal.
Sure.
So should he want to give up the hangar before the 40-year or 30-year mark, we will have the first right of refusal to purchase it at a fair market value.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, by the way, for all the work that you put into that, and to our city attorney as well in writing that. Extremely well done, with attention to detail and looking forward to the future. I appreciate that very, very much. Is there any other discussion on item number 2? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Carb, item number 3 was discussion regarding a hangar lease that has expired. Is there anything specific to that that you need to tell us about?
So we did have a hangar
What happens
lease.
at the end of the process of what we just voted on? What happens at the end when it reverts then to the possession of the city?
So at the end of, like Tim Hill's hangar lease, at the very end of his hangar lease, it will revert to the city. So either at the end of that 30 years, if he doesn't exercise the extension option, or at the end of the 40 years, it will revert back to the city and become city property. So we have just had that happen with an 8-pack of hangars out there, and it is reverted back at the end of August. So currently, it's owned by the city on paper. And essentially what this item is to do is to allow anyone that would like to say anything about the reversion of the hangars, any of the tenants, if they would like to say anything about it.
Okay. So no one's here. Did they know that we were going to have this discussion?
They were aware that it would be on the city council agenda.
Okay. Okay. Now, who was aware? As far as like all the hangar tenants out there, or
They were
the tenants of this said hangar? That's what I'm trying to
The
understand.
tenants of this particular hangar were well aware
Okay, they
that
were-
this
okay, okay, I was
particular
just-
meeting was
so-
taking place.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, I was just trying to clarify who was made aware of that. Okay.
And
so-
one of the things that was included in the contract in number 2 was that holdover clause that at the end of everything, when should the hangar become possession of the city, that it's not that client has to immediately vacate the premises, remove your aircraft or whatever's in there. You don't have to do that. You can then rent month to month. There's already that mechanism in place where we can rent to someone month to month to month. So in this case, with the folks who are still in the 4 parts of that hangar, they can just do it month to month to month without any involvement
With a new
from us
lease.
whatsoever. Well, just the monthly rental agreement. That mechanism is already set in place out there at the airport, which requires no more work from us on this end at all.
Then I guess we have a list of people that want it, so if they don't, then
Sure. Right.
Correct.
that's, there's a priority list on that, I'm assuming, and,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, it's a long list.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you need to tell us about number 3?
No, there's not.
Is there anything for Mr. Carp on number 3?
So this is I'm assuming this is a discussion now. It will be a discussion next week so that anybody that wants to speak on this subject that hears it tonight can come back Thursday night and speak on it, correct?
I think at some point there are some hangar tenants that are going to want to come and speak to the council about future reversions. This gentleman, I don't believe, is concerned about this, but there may be a work session or something that we do have. I have had some people approach me that they do want to come speak with the council, but we'll set up a session for you guys in the future. But I don't think it's needed on this one particularly, is it, Mr. Carp?
No, I don't believe
I didn't think so.
Different leases have different expiration dates or renewal dates, and so as they kind of get closer, the tenants are more anxious to come and speak to the council
Yes.
on maybe a renewal, and it perhaps, as in this case, they're not seeking a renewal. So,
I do have one question as far as the term is over, so the hangars have fully reverted. I've actually talked to Mr. Smith about this. They are our hangars as we speak. So we do not have to exercise an extension term. That is fully up to the council.
right,
All right,
and in the contract that we just voted on, that option to exercise that. There is a time limit that needs to be done, 180 days before the expiration of that contract. And should one not choose to exercise that option in that time period, fair enough, life goes on.
Correct. And there was no extension term.
So at
Past
this
the
point, we
original.
should be allowed just to lease space in this hangar. Is that correct, Mr. Smith?
If you don't want to extend it to the current or the former leasee, then yes, it's good to go. The way it was written was it expired and it reverts automatically to the city, and subject to an intervention and trying to negotiate an extension here tonight, then it's the city's, if that's the.
So, but they could actually, Mr. Carp could write up a lease with the existing tenants, but it's a brand-new lease. It's no longer a land lease. It's actually a hangar space lease. Is that correct, sir?
No, this would be an extension of the original lease for 15 years is what.
Oh, okay, so we would have to extend the lease for 15 years. You can't just rent hangar space like we do in other...
If we were just to rent the hangar space, it would be owned by the city. We would rent the hangar space.
Okay.
Right.
So I do have a T-hangar lease that's already been written up by Mr. Smith that we can offer them today.
Okay. Is that in your...
That's, yes, for the airport hangar they're currently at.
Yes, okay.
Right. Right, so no worries. All that's handled in your normal day-to-day operations out there, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Fair enough. Thank you.
This is Mr. Westcott, Miss Skelton just asked me, is any part of this number 3 need to be on the agenda for next council meeting, or that was just a discussion and everything is good?
correct.
Do you see anything, Mr. Smith?
I guess the question is, are we offering a lease extension, or, because it will need to be approved by the council, and currently right now, the leasee has not signed anything. It's expired.
They're not requesting a lease extension, to my understanding, are they?
It's my understanding that only one of the 8 tenants wants a lease extension.
Okay. And was he one of the tenants on the original signed contract?
He was not. He's
So
on
he-
that hangar for about 3 years.
Okay,
of the
so we don't
35
have an
years.
actual legal binding contract with him.
So,
So then that hangar belongs to the city and you can lease that, is my understanding. So,
If he wants to gather up 7 other friends and get it, though, I would give, if he's been in it, been there for 3 years, been a tenant of it, I think that's your first option,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, right. Yeah, and like I said, they can rent month to month to month to month. They're not obligated to another 15 years with us, and we're not obligated to anything with them. But they don't, obviously, they don't have to move. I mean, that wouldn't be right
Yes.
for us to say,
No.
we're going to kick you out and put in somebody else that's been in line. No, you're already here. Go ahead and stay. Right. Right.
thank you, Mr. Carp.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is an appropriation request from the 2021 Sales Tax Capital Fund, the sum of $394,320.33 to be used to purchase 4 Dodge Durango Patrol SUVs and equipment, 1 Dodge Durango CID SUV and equipment, and 1 Ford Escape all-wheel drive for the admin equipment. What is the will of the committee regarding item number 4?
I make a motion that we send this to the full council with recommendation for approval.
Okay,
Second.
second by Mr. Keller. Discussion on item number 4. Chief, what's the time frame on delivery? 3 to 4 months? Okay.
No flames? We're not doing flames? Okay.
We're doing camouflage
I
flames.
keep asking that, and I
They
don't
are
see any
camouflage flames.
police cars with flames on them, so.
Chief, thank you very much. All those in favor of item number 4 say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 is an appropriation request from the 2021 Sales Tax Capital Fund and from the Economic Development Fund, the sum of $754,900 to be used for construction of new pickleball courts. Mr. Thomas, if you would, I know that you're excited, or I'm assuming you're excited about this as we are. It- Could you, very briefly, for the sake of those who are watching by video or what have you, would you briefly tell us, or tell them what we're talking about, the time frame and whatnot, what's going on with this right here?
Basically, this will be 6 brand-new pickleball courts from the ground up, including concrete, lighting, and pavilion that runs through the middle and all the fencing. We chose that location at the soccer complex because we already have existing power there, we have existing parking, and we have an existing bathroom. So that cut out all of that cost right there. So basically, it's just the pickleball complex itself that we're building there in the little area kind of to the north of the concession stand and bathrooms.
Okay. Time to completion?
I would say being this time of year, it'd probably be late spring of next year, maybe.
Probably just depending on weather.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the will of the Finance Committee on item number 5?
Make a motion to approve
Okay.
and push to the full council for approval.
Second.
Is any discussion on item number 5?
Yes, there was discussion about more parking, because I know we need to have more parking. Can we get an update on that?
Yes, actually, Mr. Newman and Mr. Thomas and I met today, and our engineer, Mr. Newman is going to get Sawyer Shannon, one of our engineers, on that. We took an aerial and we looked at multiple different ways to possibly add as much parking as possible. And hopefully in the next month, maybe by October, I will come back and ask you guys for some recommendations on that. So we'll have some drawings for you to look at, because we definitely do. Soccer complex is a very, very popular park. It's our largest sport, young and old, and it's looking really good. And like I say, as we look forward to pickleball tournaments, as we look forward to soccer tournaments, we definitely need more parking. And so we're looking at all the different places we can put it in there.
Another thing I would like to look at while we're doing this project, because we're going to have a brand-new, nice pickleball court, any kind of updates or upgrades or anything we can do to the concession and bathroom areas would be good, because you would have a brand-new pickleball court next to 40-year-old bathrooms. I mean,
So-
let's look at some things that we can possibly do
Okay.
to add to that.
We'll look at that, maybe look inside, and also maybe freshen up the outside. Everything's, okay, yes. It's going to be a really good addition to that park, it really is. So,
May have to change the name from the Russellville Soccer Complex to Soccer and Pickleball or something. I don't know. Outdoor Sports Complex.
Yeah.
yeah, it's something.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. If you would stay there for just a second for these next couple items. Any other discussion on item number 5? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is an appropriation request from the 2021 Sales Tax Capital Fund, the sum of $6,699.37 to be used to purchase the new funnel climber barrier for the Sequoia Park Playground. Mr. Thomas, briefly, what can you tell us about that?
This is basically a 2-year-old playground. There's nothing wrong with the part that's on there. It's just not safe. It's the pictures are in your packet. The part that's on there now is just a narrow climber that goes across, and it's got ropes. The smaller kids can't reach those ropes. So we're going to put another piece in there that has sides on it where the smaller kids can just walk straight across, because you have to cross that narrow little piece to get to all the big slides. And that's where all the little kids want to go.
Right.
So, and that's why we're doing it, just for safety reasons.
Okay. Thank you.
It'll go from that kind of tightrope to the wider.
Right. Both deck, it'll connect to both decks. It fits in there. There's multiple pieces you could put in there, but this is just the one we chose because it looks safer than the rest of them.
My kids play there a lot, and they do like the tightrope walk, but
Yeah.
I could see definitely where that
Yeah, I get
could
lots
be
of
a problem
complaints that their little
for-
kids fall off
yeah,
of it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. What's the will of the committee on item number 6?
Make a motion to send it to full council with approval.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Is any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, also through Parks and Rec, is an appropriation request from the 2023 General Fund carryover, the sum of $75,343.23 to be used to purchase 3 John Deere Z997R zero-turn mowers.
Make a motion to send to the full council with approval.
Okay? Is there a second on number 7?
Second, but only if I can complain about the price of lawnmowers.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood.
This is not what you mow your yard with, I promise you.
I just need geez, yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah, Nathan's got so much money, he's giving them away.
You could just give that to Parks and Rec, man.
Yeah, they could have had that one. I was ready to set it on fire, so. Sorry.
Seriously though, any discussion on these mowers for Parks and Rec? Right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Item number 8 is an appropriation request from the reserves of the street fund in the sum of $34,881 to be used for the City Hall and Russellville Police Department parking lot maintenance. I move that we forward item number 8 to the full council with a recommendation of approval. Second by Mr. Olson. Any discussion on number 8? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. 8A is consideration of a resolution that would authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement for that project with McCormick Works Incorporated for the engineering services. I move that we forward item 8A to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9 is a reappropriation request from the Capital Asset Fund number 4, the carryover balance, the sum of $34,527 to be used to provide funding for the construction of a dry storage facility at Public Works. I move that we forward item number 9 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Keller. What's the time frame on completion of that? Thank you, Mr. Duval.
You bet. Actually, Eric, it's already complete,
Okay.
so.
So,
No, go ahead.
well, I was getting,
Right.
Staff changeover last year. This item did not go through the Capitol, usually in January or February. This was approved in '23, authorized, project went forward, got started. And with the staff changeover in finance, that one of the items slipped through the cracks. So it was caught recently with the new finance director, and so we're bringing it to council so we can clear the books and move forward
Okay.
from audit.
Fully completed project, though?
Yes, sir.
Right,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
well, what I was gonna say was, can we get some windscreen around the fence in the back so we don't have to look at all Public Works stuff on Parkway at some point, please, in one of those projects?
Yeah, and I think we're probably going to need to be looking at also the area next to the new Academy Sports too, because they'll be right in there, so.
We require other people to
Yep.
screen themselves, we need to be doing the
Right.
same.
Okay.
Any other discussion on number 9? Thank you, Mr. Duval. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10 is consideration of a resolution that would authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement with Ford Engineering for engineering services for the Shiloh Manor Drainage Improvement Project for the city. What's the will of the Finance Committee on number 10?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we send item 10 to the full council with a recommendation of due pass.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. George. Any discussion on item number 10?
Isn't Shiloh Manor, is that the new neighborhood out there? Like out across from the
Yes.
Pleasant View Parks?
Yes.
We have drainage problems out there already?
Yes.
You have $3 million
There've been-
worth of drainage problems out there that
there've
you'll be
been-
seeing in a few years, I
So-
promise you.
There have been
So-
drainage problems out there.
So why,
almost from
how
the
and why
beginning.
did we accept that job as completed if it has drainage problems?
Because at that time, you didn't have the leadership in your engineering and public works department, and planning. So that's where you didn't have the same team there. So yeah, this actually is coming, if I remember right, this is coming out of Shiloh Manor, and because of Shiloh Manor, the church, Shiloh Missionary Baptist, is getting actual water in their building. So we're fixing that, but I've had multiple people in from Shiloh Manor in my office, and I'll be honest with you, at some point in time, we're probably going to have to spend $3 million in that subdivision to fix drainage. So
So when we talk about making salaries on engineers and planners and whatnot in the future, we can look back and go, well, we would have saved $3 million if we would have just paid $15,000 more a year.
yes, if you would have paid, if we'd have just had somebody there that was enforcing what needed to happen, yes, sir.
Well, and I think
Or
that-
pay attention with the players that you had at the time. Pay attention and look ahead. But fortunately, we have people after January 1 who have good memories of what's taken place here and the money so hopefully we'll tuck this away for future reference.
Well, and I just to stick up for the people we have working now that have to endure developers griping them out in public meetings with the planning commission.
Right.
This is why we have those people, so that we're not 5 years later or 6 years or however long ago this development was built, having to spend $3 million to fix problems.
Yeah, I totally understand there's some issues with our building code now that we're weeding through and fixing, but that is the reason that we update and do these things and look for the future and edge on the side of the city, because we don't want to come back and spend $3 million later.
Right, because
Yes,
it's
right.
not our money. Like, it's
Right.
it's the people that live here's money. Like, the developers don't have to pay these issues 10 years down the road.
Any other discussion on item number 10? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11 is consideration of a resolution that would approve and ratify expenses for a sewer extension completed for economic development purposes by a city corporation. They would also authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to execute a sewer collection main extension agreement with city corporation, dispersing the funds previously allocated for the project and for other purposes. I move that we forward item number 11 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Keller. Any discussion on item number 11?
Where are we extending the sewer?
This is for the Owens Corning facility.
Yeah,
This was part of our economic development
I read
incentive
that.
package.
I read it in the packet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry, my brain went nuts.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12 is consideration of a resolution that would accept a bid from Redstone Construction Group Incorporated on behalf of the Russellville Municipal Airport for the airport apron reconstruction Phase 1 project. It would authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement with Redstone Construction for that improvements. And I move that we forward item number 12 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Keller. Any discussion on item number 12? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13 is discussion regarding whether, number 1, the mayor will certify in writing the fair market value of the materials of the annex/white building is under $20,000, and what to do with the building after the mayor does do that certification. And number 2, solicit bids for removal of the building, or 3, donate it, and if so, to what entity? So, yield the floor to the mayor.
Yes, okay, the white annex building is right behind City Hall here, and it's our goal in an effort to create more downtown parking, to remove this building because it's of no use to the city anymore. It's just not, it needs to go. And so if we could tear it down at our own expense, we could actually just go in there, or, we could hire someone to tear it down, or we could bring in our public works crew, tear it down. We have to pay for the removal of it. We could possibly, for the price of the removal, just donate it to someone and say, hey, listen, if you want to come take this building down, then you can take this building down, and we're not going to charge you. You can't charge us anything for it, but you can have the building for whatever you need or whatever value you see in it. And that way we're saving ourselves some money. And that's where I was trying to figure out if we could possibly, how we wanted to proceed. Mr. Smith, did I say that correctly? Okay, so just want to make sure that
So you're seeking to have somebody demo it basically for salvage?
yes.
Okay.
And I can't guarantee that we can find someone
Right,
to do
right.
that. The only thing we can do is we could put that out there and say, okay, hey, listen, we have this building here. If you want to come down here and you want to take your time and you want to take this building down, then you can have it. Or,
Has there been any at all, any interest in
I haven't shopped it.
purchasing anything?
Well, I haven't shopped it at all,
Gotcha.
period. So
Because I know from a historic, you hear buzzes around, people saying, man, I'd really like to, because it's got some stuff in it, but it's
there's not much in there. I
Really?
promise you,
Okay.
it's not worth, nothing in there is really worth anything.
Is it-
Now we did put the church up for bid, and no, we have one person that has talked to us, but we did not get a contract yet. So
Is the building, is it a steel frame or is
it is actually a steel frame building
Okay.
inside, which
Well,
is
that should bring a few people at least.
so,
to take a look
and
at
but
it.
then you're going to have to replace the outside because you have some rock that's going to have to go. You're not going to be able to transfer all that rock and different things. So it does have a steel structure. So those are things that are going to cost us when we start tearing things down with the track hoe and filling up 40-yard dumpsters. It's costing us. So, like I say, however you want to proceed, I just feel like we need to expand parking for downtown areas, and that's one of those places that we could actually do some expansion.
I think it's worth exploring.
I would be all for the cheapest, easiest, fastest way to remove the building, in my opinion.
Mr.
Well,
Westcott, do you have
You
anything?
can't have all three. You can have two.
This is something that just as a thought, if it's just going to be demolished anyway, is it something that potentially the fire department would find value in some sort of live fire exercise in raising it, through fire, and then we've got less that we have to throw into a dumpster, but
I think then you're releasing toxins there because you've
Right.
got vinyl siding and different things like that. You're going to have some issues with possibly that. So I think that would be an issue. Mr. Westcott?
I think if we choose to donate the building to someone, I would rather do that. Donate it to someone who could benefit from the building itself, and certainly if someone could move the building without demolishing it, great, more power to them. Do you have anybody in mind?
I have not shopped it out there without the approval of the council. So that's why I'm having this discussion. We would basically advertise it at this point after the council gives approval. I didn't want to make any moves without your approval.
Well, of the options presented, I'd certainly move towards donating that to somebody.
How much would it cost us just to tear it down?
Oh, Kenneth, if we came in with Haney with a track hoe, we're probably talking the labor and the time, and then we're talking, 40 yards at least? And I may be, actually, I think it's going to be more than 40 yards. Yeah, so, and I may, you want, so, but like I say, it's going to, it's, maybe
we're talking like
15,
$100,000?
no, 15, 20,000 is all.
Okay.
I think you think we could get it out of there for 15, 20,000 maybe? Yeah, somewhere 15, 20,000. But if we don't have to spend the $15,000, I'm all about that.
Yeah, no, I'm not opposed. Can we make a motion for you to, you got to
What do
find the
you
value,
need from us, Mayor?
right?
What do you need from us?
Do we need,
Motion for you to find somebody or a company to do the work at no cost in exchange for us donating.
so if someone make a motion for myself to solicit a donor, in order to remove the structure from the property in a timely manner, we would have to put a timeline on that. We would give them, okay, if you can't do it in 45 days, then you're not going to do it, because we don't need someone hanging around 6 months. You know, we would need to do something like that
Well,
in exchange for a donation. Would someone be
Sell it
okay
for
with
a
that?
dollar, the stipulation being they remove the building.
Do what, sir?
I said, sell it, put it up for sale for a dollar, the stipulation being they remove the building.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Okay. Is everyone good with a 45-day timeline? Does anyone have any objections to that? I think that's a kind of a happy medium there. Give someone time, but also not let them drag on.
So, Mr. Smith, I'm assuming this would have to be somebody licensed, bonded, and everything else where we're not culpable for any,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it has to be cleaned up. So. And we may not find anyone that's willing to do that. Like I say, if not, then we would just proceed. I would come back and we'd come back and just remove it. So.
Okay. So on number 13, there's a motion and second on the floor to offer this property for sale with the provision that the buyer remove the building. That amount was for $1. Is any further discussion on 13? Let's see. Actually, it was discussion right now. So,
Do we need to move it? Do we need to move it to Thursday in order to agenda to make that motion, or can it be made?
You make the motion to do the thing, and if you find somebody within this time frame, then I can have the resolution
Okay.
to execute.
Okay, so we can make a motion for me to solicit, but we can't enter into a contract, and without. Yeah, at this time we can't. At this point, we can't enter into a contract.
So we're sending this motion to the council next week, or you're actually deciding it right here on the spot?
The motion to have him search for somebody, and then he'll bring it, if you find somebody by next Thursday, then we'll have a resolution to execute the contract.
So just giving me permission to solicit, and then if there is a contract that we have to enter into, it'll have to go before you again, sir.
Does this give you the leeway to both look for someone to come in and tear it down and rip it out, but also if someone wanted to move it to another location, does it give you that leeway to explore?
I guess I
both
can solicit.
options?
I can solicit bids on the actual removal. If it was like, hey, no one wants to tear it down for any benefit, then we can solicit bids. I can reach out to Mr. Urbach's here. I can reach out to Blackstone and see if they would be interested in doing that, or someone that would come in and that has the ability to do something like that. We could solicit bids.
Yeah, I just want to give you as much flexibility
right,
as possible. I don't want you to be like, we can only sell, we only say you can sell it for $1, and tomorrow someone say, I'll just pay to move it, and then.
Yeah, I have the ability to solicit those bids, but I don't have the ability to enter the contract. I think that's the thing, sir.
That is correct, yes, sir.
Mr. Arbach, we'll have that. We have that bid for us tonight. No, I'm just-
Okay, so
Okay.
that,
Yeah, I feel comfortable with that if you guys are good. I think just as long as I have permission to move forward to that, and if I do find something, then I have to come
Right.
back to you before I do a contract.
okay.
Thank you.
So that's my motion, if you need a motion to do that. That's my motion, is to do that. If you don't need a motion,
You
then,
can solicit based on your own powers, but
Okay.
any
Right.
type of contract approval with any type of money
Okay.
or donation.
okay,
Okay.
fair enough.
So we can move in. We can move on then.
So I'll remove my motion then. Anything else on number 13? Moving on to item number 14 is discussion concerning mowing, sponsored by Mayor Teague.
All right. There's some issue. Who did that? Okay. Okay, John raised his hand up because I was looking at everybody. Nobody did that. I was like, okay, bless you, John. Okay, so it was brought to my attention that the Public Works crew, upon recommendation or advisement from previous administrations, had been mowing several areas of right-of-way throughout the community. And it's brought to my attention that we're not supposed to be doing that according to our ordinances. So I want to bring this before the council just to let you know, if we move forward in enforcing this ordinance of not mowing these areas, then you may be receiving phone calls. And if you receive phone calls, I just want you to know that we need to protect our guys. It's not our guys that are not doing, the public works guys are not doing their job. They're doing what they're supposed to do, but we're enforcing this ordinance. And so if one of your buddies gets a ticket from Perry that says, hey, your grass is too tall, then this is because we're enforcing an ordinance that has not been enforced by previous administrations. And I wanted to bring that before discussion for you guys.
Can we reach out to the potentially affected citizens on this and
Yes.
let them know that we're going to stop mowing and it's
What I would like-
their responsibility?
What I would like to do is continue the rest of the year this way. Over the winter, look at all the property owners, notify them in writing what we are going to do. Let them know, hey, listen, this is the ordinance. We're going to enforce this ordinance and you will be responsible. Let them know, hey, your grass is, I think, is it 10 inches, Sarah? 10 inches, and then we'll just be moving forward. Yes, I think that's the way. Mr. Olson, would you like to add to that?
It's the same one that we talked about a couple of years ago.
I was just going to bring that up. I just want to say that,
Right.
I think that was our solution a couple years ago was we're going to continue mowing it for the rest of the year. We're going to make sure that the affected folks know what their responsibility is, and then we're, in the new calendar year, going to stop mowing it. And
Right.
we obviously never did stop mowing it. So
I think they were advised to not stop mowing it. So that's why I was bringing, Mr. Duval and his guys are going to do what they're told. And so I just want to know, that we're going to, we as a group up here are going to back our people that are on the street. So.
Can I ask a clarification?
Yes.
I don't know if this is for Mr. Duval or Mr. Smith. In our part of this ordinance here, so I know some areas in my ward this is going on. So it's from the sidewalk. We're mowing probably, 15 feet, 20 feet? And that's, okay, but that's us coming through mowing, because I see this everywhere, down into creeks and other places as well that we probably shouldn't be mowing either, right?
Well-
Okay. I will come back with other questions, but I read this ordinance. I am not a lawyer, so I was confused about the woods and where the woods stopped and the terrain and all that. Might need some clarification. There's places in my ward that are heavily wooded, and then we're mowing part of that, but then the rest of it grows waist deep in the summertime, and there's nothing. It's never mowed. Well, I can point out 2 or 3 to you. They're mowed once a year. They're mowed about early August, and then that's it.
Yeah. And we have that all over. So, like I said, we're just going to have to enforce that. If that's our choice as a council, that's, if we enforce this ordinance, I just want us to be in unison. Mr. Westcott?
The ordinance is there, and it's not that I fault the homeowners for allowing the city to mow their grass, but it looks like we as a city, we're violating the ordinance. It's not that the homeowners are violating it by letting us mow. We're violating it by mowing it where it's not our place to mow it. We're tasked with mowing city property, but right now, we have been mowing based more on who's making the call and where that property is located. All is being suggested is that we abide by the law that we ourselves passed or was passed by previous councils. Is that fair enough? That
Is there,
we're just
Mr.
sticking
George.
to the, we're just
Mr.
sticking to the
George.
law we've already passed?
well, but is there a
right?
reason that the people aren't mowing them?
Well,
Other-
yeah,
other
because when
than-
certain fences
Well, but
were built,
we
the-
started mowing it for a reason. What was the reason that we
Well,
started mowing?
A lot of it is undeveloped land. I think some of it is undeveloped land where someone, it just may be vacant land. If you look down Russell Road, if you look down Sequoia Way, you look down Parkway, you look down Vancouver, right there by Neighborhood Market.
Right.
There's a lot of undeveloped land there that is not, or even over to Vancouver and 12th Street, I think.
I think
Mr. Olson?
years ago, when the ordinance was passed, there was the whatever group of council and mayor at the time had code enforcement that wouldn't enforce that particular code. And so it went from 1 or 2 places to 3 to 5 to 10, and now
Right.
they've got probably, y'all, I mean, rough guess, probably 3 days of your mowing is mowing other people's properties a week? That's a lot. You think about all the time, equipment, labor, money, gas, trucks.
And especially if they're uncleared land areas, you need brush hog. There's a whole lot more equipment than just mowing.
We'd be able to tear down that building behind here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else that we
I
need
just
on number
wanted to
14?
bring it before the council so that if you do get a call, that we are supporting of our people that are out on the street. That's just what I want us to be in unison. So thank you for your
Well, I
time.
mean, I can support us following the ordinance that has been passed, and that the city's responsible for the city's property and the homeowner's responsible for the homeowner's property, and never the two shall meet.
All right.
I can support that. Anything
you.
else on 14? Number 15 is discussion on choosing the 2024-25 Russellville Youth Council, sponsored by Councilman Paul Gray. Mr. Gray.
Yes, we have started the process. I visited well, first thing is I sent out communications to Russellville High School, Valley Christian Academy, Homeschool Association. Heard back from Russellville High School. They put it in their announcements out there. I went out and spoke to probably about 25 or 30 kids during both lunches on the 27th of August. And we have got 17 applications, I believe. I also worked with 3 or 4 of our more active members from last year, and they had a lot of ideas about how to improve this, how to make it more interactive for them and for us. And we've come up with some great ideas that I will discuss. For anybody's interested in staying after this meeting, we're going to look over the applications, and we'll talk about some of the particulars. But I've talked to the mayor about this as well. And so anyway, really, really excited about what we can do this year and kind of build on what we did last year, and make the youth council more successful and a lot more interactive for the kids. And they have a lot of cool ideas.
Anything else on number 15? Is there anything you need from us, Mr. Gray?
Not at this time, other than anybody who wants to stay after can go through these applications with me, and we'll choose the next set of kids.
Thank you. Item number 16, and I believe the last on our agenda here, is discussion regarding items 1 through 4 of the proposed amendments to the cards contract that were removed from the resolution at our special called meeting. Sponsored by Mr. Keller. Mr. Keller, I yield the floor to you.
Well, I mean, we took out items 1 through 4 so that we could go ahead and get the contract signed for the solid waste removal for the city. And we were going to have the discussion tonight, but no one from Cards is here. So, am I missing something? Is someone from Cards here?
I do not see any of their representatives at this time.
So I know that we were going to have a discussion because there was some questions between which metric to use as far as rate increases for the future with inflation, which inflation index to use. But if Cards isn't here to give their side of the story as to why they want one side or the other, I don't know that we really have the ability to discuss this, other than just to talk amongst ourselves as to if we want to use the...
What we might consider, and the reason I bring this up is after a phone call that I received today about this item, what I would hope that we would consider, knowing that these other 4 items on their list of 5 was related to percentages and the way that the rates are figured going forward, the consumer price index, what have you. It was stated to me that with the bids that were turned in, they were based on certain percentages looking forward. The way that they bid was based on certain criteria, and if we come back this far into it, after the contract has already been signed and change those percentages to where their future income will be calculated, that could easily appear to be improper, and that we should rightfully expect a lawsuit, not only from the entity represented by the one who called me, but other similar entities. And I just wanted to make you aware of that. So if we want to adjust the rates, I don't mind to do that, but I would be more comfortable if we adjusted that closer to the end of that 5-year term. So, hey, you've locked into the term just like everybody else was aware of these terms. Here they are. You're locked in for 5 years. At the end of this 5 years, if we choose to renew, we can adjust at that time. But to adjust right now,
No,
right after they took
I don't
effect,
believe
is
that-
improper.
No. I don't believe that the discussion the other night that we tabled to tonight was about the percentages.
Well, yeah, it is.
I thought it was about which index to use when figuring those percentages. When I spoke to Mr. Tarpley about these items, it was that week, he said that their desire to change those from the inflation, the CPI for, was it water, trash, and sewer, to the other, I can't remember.
it
It's
the
not-
universal
not in front
CPI?
of me, to the-
Right. Urban,
to the
urban.
yeah,
Right.
to the
Right.
other. What he indicated to me in our phone call was that that's how all their contracts are, and it just makes it simpler for them to use one metric for all their contracts.
Oh, and I'm not finding fault with their request or their metrics or their mathematics or anything related to that. The only thing I find fault with is the timing of it. To do something that would have an effect on their potential income from the city during the term of this 5-year contract, to which the other people who bid did not have the same access, I think would be improper to do it at this time.
I
But
do
again,
have
it's just discussion at this point.
I will agree with Mr. Westcott. If you look at 9.03, Clause B, there is a 3% added there. So that is a change, and I am uncomfortable changing the rate after we said this would be the rate. I have no problem changing the Fifth Amendment because that was where it was just, we could get out anytime we wanted, and I understand that change. I was all for that, but this does look like, at least in some ways, a potential rate increase, especially in that clause, and then the 3% appears again in 904A and B. So what we had in there seemed to be, that was what we had in the previous contract, and it didn't seem to be a problem when we first presented this to cards. But it came in at this late moment along with the no cause thing. I'm all for the Fifth Amendment. We can get rid of that one easily, but I am a little concerned. I would agree with Mr. Westcott. I'm a little bit concerned about these CPI, CPU, and these 3% stuck in here that essentially, I wouldn't say guarantee a price increase, but certainly looks like one.
Mayor, this item only being for discussion. If there's no other discussion, I yield the floor back to you.
All right, well, we will adjourn, and due to the time, I'm going to go ahead and let everyone go to the bathroom. Please be back in 5 minutes if you can.
the one on East Main, the one from the overpass going toward Western Sizzling, that's what you're asking?
Okay, yeah.
That'll be the first one. The other one is still in the, we hadn't got 60% plans on it yet. It's in planning right now with an engineering firm. But they're very good. It won't be long.
The sidewalk, the sidewalk going to the overpass, it's from, not the courthouse side, going towards Western City.
Yeah, toward Western Sizzling. Yeah, that's where all the people are always. I'm having to do a lot of negotiating with some of the business owners, but I'm getting there on the evenings are always hard. So, they always, and I can't get it, you know. And then you got armies, they're out, I'm having to talk to people in the field that don't know. And then you got, they could if they want. But I'm real close. After tomorrow's meeting with Illinois, there's one particular guy that's waiting. And when I tell him what I think we're going to do, he'll sign. So I got all, yeah, we're trying to sign before I come. You know, that's what you think. You don't meet. Yeah, I have to sleep on this.
I'm excited about that.
Me too.
That's wonderful.
You know I've been wanting that.
30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, 30 seconds.
City runs through that. Is that part of the area that we're talking about? That's right. Okay, that's what I wanted to just make sure.
Gentlemen, please take your seats.
Okay.
I'm waiting. Already.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Tuesday, September 10th, agenda prep meeting. All right, so Kenneth, you got
I'll make it
54 seconds. No, and then Don
I don't
Arbach
need
has
that
6
long.
seconds. So
Hey, okay. Ridgewood drainage is in progress, going very well, no issues. Phoenix sidewalk maintenance done. East 4th Street maintenance is underway now. The access road at Pleasant View Park, if y'all hadn't been out there, it's complete, very nice. And I understand there's already people using it.
yes,
So y'all should go out and look at that. That's all I have.
man, that's faster than 54 seconds.
I tell
Don,
you,
you
I'm
got
fast.
12 seconds now.
I'm fast.
Good evening, everyone. Real quick for us, most of what you'll see working right now is the duck run in El Paso. We actually had a big milestone for that. We were actually able to get across the street on 64 and actually were able to do it in technically 3 nights, but really 2 nights of construction. So we've got the other big crossing on Main Street will be on Denver, and that's right now planned for the week of the 23rd. So we'll cut it on the 22nd. Hopefully we'll be able to get in a couple days there as well too. The part that they're working on in El Paso right now is the largest part of the duck run. In fact, when a couple more feet, they'll have 27 lines that are actually running through it. So if you haven't seen them while they're working on it, stop by and look at that hole. It's a little confusing, and actually just trying to track all of it is been pretty amazing. They've done a really good job with it. It's just slow, and kind of like a lot of the stuff that we've done downtown, everything has layers to it, so we're dependent on one after another, and unfortunately, we're having a tough time doing anything in bunches. Right now, what we're trying to work on is get Entergy to disconnect the old street lights that are being replaced by the new street lights. Many of you have seen those, and they look fantastic. The old ones, unfortunately, don't serve just as street lights, they also serve as power poles. So some of those actually have live wires that are running to the traffic signals, which, because they're state traffic signals, we can't turn off. So now we're trying to figure out how we can do workarounds to make sure that we have the old traffic signals powered. But that impacts our concrete work because we can't take the old ones out and pour the concrete around. So it's just been one of these things where, moving along. Entergy's been helpful. We've had a couple of really good meetings here with Glenn and Kenneth to bring them in. I think have a better understanding not only what we're doing with those lights, but also what we're doing. We've got 17 hookups that Blackstone, as part of our duct run contractor, required to basically install new hookups to the meters, and that's like all of this more complicated. We think we're trying to not have any downtime for the businesses while we do it, and I think we have a plan for that. So that's going well. We'll have more sidewalk construction coming up on I believe that'll be the week of the 23rd as well too. We'll have Jim Bowden getting back down, working on sidewalk. You'll see a lot of activity probably on Main Street. That area is close. After we get done with Jim on Jim's work on Main Street, we're going to actually look at getting that paved. So hopefully that will give a lot different impression of what it looks like downtown. Unfortunately, we do have some delays on materials. One, signals, which took a very long time to negotiate, for lack of a better term, with the highway department, but we have now been able to go ahead and order those materials, but those are going to be delayed. It'll be early, probably first quarter, if not beginning of second quarter next year before those come in. And then we were also informed by Entergy that they don't think all of their materials will be in until March of next year. That discussion went a little bit further, and they're going to try and find and look at some other places of things that they can potentially swap out. And the reason that makes a big difference for us is all of the transformers have gone from aerial, and many of them are going to the ground. Well, we need to have those installed so we can finish the concrete work around them. So there's a lot of those pieces that, again, are just kind of waiting. We're trying not to leave open holes, so you'll see areas that have gravel. Unfortunately, we can't come in and finish the concrete in those areas until we do the rest of the construction. So it's been one of those where we're trying to mitigate time the best we can. It's just hard to get around with as many people that we need to do things. It's hard to get it all lined out, perfectly. So you'll continue to see us downtown. We're trying to make as little as impact on business as possible. Dennis, who you all know, has been an amazing resource for the program for downtown. One of the things on the north side, you'll see some of it on the south side, as we start to pour the sidewalks, we're going to work with all the businesses to make sure that we get all the thresholds correct. We've got an area that we know to pour, but every one of those doorways is slightly different. Some are already mounted, some have steps, some have steps that they would like to go away. So we're working with the owners and Glenn and the engineers to make sure that we have them all, so everybody has what they want. If it was just new construction, it'd be really easy to just go in and pour it. The problem is all of this stuff was built up over time, and trying to have it work with kind of a new version of its old self is just taking a little bit of time to get it done. So, I'm available. I think everybody has my number. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out. And again, I don't know if anybody has any questions from a business standpoint or a citizen standpoint. Dennis has done, had just a phenomenal job of interacting with the people downtown. So typically the call tree is to Dennis and then to me, and then we kind of move. So it's worked out pretty well that way. So.
We're going to do something similar as in last year towards the holiday season, kind of suspending.
Yeah,
Okay.
we will. And what we're going to really try and do is be intentional about that. I don't think we'll take as much time off as we did the last time, but we won't have as big an impact. But those areas that, think we've gotten a good feel of the businesses and what they need. Certainly retail or high traffic areas we'll be very careful of. Perfect example of that is we're going to do, we've got Pasta Grill that's closed on Monday. We have some work that we're going to do right next to them. We'll try and do as much of that work on Monday as we can, so we're just not impacting the businesses. The same is for the other retail. Some of them, some of the businesses have been phenomenal. And one of the great little stories, there's a couple that lives in the apartment at the corner of Boulder and Main Street. And when we were doing that sidewalk, we're like, well, you know, it's going to, because they have a door, they didn't have multiple options. They're like, oh, we'll be good, because you know, we told them how many hours it was, so they basically were like, we'll just shut in for a while and be in good shape. So it was, you know, a good conversation with them. So, you know, we've had a lot of the community's been very helpful with it as well too. And most of that stuff we can work around when we plan early enough. What we're trying to avoid on the thresholds and some of the other stuff is giving direction to the contractor while we're constructing, because that creates a problem. The business owner may get what they want, but then we might have some issues with some trip hazards and city code violations and some other things. So we really want to have everybody agreed to before we get out there and do it. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Don.
Yep, you bet.
And thank you, Dennis. Troy Norton, you've got 2 seconds because no, Don talked long. No. Just make it happen, Troy.
Anyway, we just want to give you.
This is Troy from Boys and Girls Club for those at home. So
we want to give you our mid-year report, but this is what we have going on right here for us this past year. We have 501 players, and this goes from flag football all the way to swimming. So we have flag football, we have basketball, we have softball, and we have a swim. Now we're starting volleyball this year. So, but this is from the past year, and we had 93 coaches from this past, as far as basketball right there and everything. We had 27 teams in basketball. We had 270 players and 54 coaches that does a background check, and they all pass the background check and everything. So when we do our background checks and everything, your kids are well taken care of as far as our backgrounds and everything like that. We make sure they don't have anything going wrong when they're around your kids and ours. As far as T-ball, we have 40 players in T-ball, 12 coaches, and that comes to about four to five teams. It depends on, we always go when we draft and stuff, we see how many players the coaches are want on their team. We try to do 10, but sometimes we go it down to 8, just depending on the numbers and stuff like that, and how they want to deal with their kids and stuff like that when it comes to practices and everything. But had 12 coaches in T-ball. Softball, we had 97 total players, 6 and under, 20 players, 8 and under, 24 players, 10 and under, 29 players, 12 and under, 14 players, 14 under, 10 players, and 23 coaches total when it comes to softball. So, and we couldn't do this, and I'll tell everybody, we couldn't do this without the community. We couldn't do this without our volunteer coaches, people like y'all that comes up and help us out when it comes to our programs and stuff. So we appreciate everything y'all doing for us when it comes to this part right here. Because I tell everybody we can't do it without the community help and everything, but especially with volunteers and how many kids that we're serving and everything. Swim team, been a very successful swim team. We had 4 coaches, 94 kids that swim this past year and everything. That's a lot of kids for 4 coaches, but Jennifer, she's a counselor at the Russellville High School, and she does a phenomenal job for us and with her other 4 coaches that's helping out with this program also and everything. So kudos to them and everything, because they do a really good job, and they keep us what's going on when we're having swim meets and all of that, so we can go in and run concession stands and everything for them. And we have a lot of volunteers. Kiwanis volunteers for that and everything, so we appreciate all their help also. We come to flag football this year. We start season next Monday. Our flag football season starts next Monday. We got grades K through 5 this year, 12 teams. Kind of down a little bit, but we're going to make them have fun and still play flag football. And we started 4th and 5th grade. We kind of redid our thing. So we got kindergarten through 1st, 2nd, 3rd, then 4th and 5th. So we kind of redid it and everything, so it'll be a little bit more competitive, and plus a little bit more teams and everything, so they can stay in their age division. We start that Monday. We played right there across from, right there next door to Big Field right there next door to Domino's and everything. So this is what's going on now, and we start that on Monday. They've been drafting, been practicing last week, and they'll practice this week for the season starts on Monday. Volleyball, and this is something that we're doing new and everything. We just started opening our registration and things. We're going 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th. This first year, we're going to try to do preseason, like 6-week session from November to December, and then we're going to come back and try to do a full season in spring. But we just want to make sure that we try to get them the fundamentals of volleyball. We have great help with Coach Jackson at the high school. She's coming in and helping us. We got some coaches at Pottsville and Dover that's coming in to help us and everything. So. Because I'll be honest with you, and I told Miss I really don't know much about volleyball, so we had to go get some help and everything. But we do have some coaches that's going to come and volunteer and help us with this program right here. I think there's more now. So I think we got about 20, 25 kids right now signed up, and it just started opening here in the past week and a half for us. But that's it right there. That's all we have for this. We just want to say. We thank y'all. We appreciate everything y'all do for us and everything. And if there's anything we can do, just let us know when it comes to the Boys and Girls Club and our kids and your kids, and we'll be happy to do whatever we need to do to help out.
I got one question about flag football.
Yes.
I know the NFL is pouring millions of dollars into flag football from community level all the way to, I think it's going to be an Olympic sport in LA. Are there any, and I have no idea, I haven't looked this up when you brought that up and said the numbers were down, have y'all looked into, has the NFL got any money that you can apply for? Is that something?
I had been contacted by them. I have been contacted by the Memphis Grizzlies with basketball, and they're supposed to get back with me. But for the NFL, I hadn't been, something I need to, I needed something that we need to look into, that we can look into with grants and stuff. And everything, but I know the Memphis Grizzlies has contacted me and we talked to them, but they were supposed to get back with me about basketball and everything, because they said they do a lot of stuff with the Boys and Girls Club also. Real happy about that volleyball. Yeah, we're very excited. We at volleyball we got all our stands, or we got 2 full stands ordered and everything. So we can get 2 courts right now, and depending on how it goes, if we have to order some more, we will, and everything. 4 courts and everything, but. Yeah, preseason. This is what the demand is and what's going on with that. So, but we're very excited. We have had a lot of calls about volleyball and everything. Is when it's going to start and all of that. So, it's going pretty good so far with that.
All right. Thank you, Troy and Misty, for coming out and giving us the update.
Thank you very much. And like I said, we appreciate everything y'all do and helping us out and everything.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I won't forget you next time.
All right. Moving on to actual agenda prep. We'll be going to unfinished old business. Will be consideration ordinance of an amendment to zone text amendment to adopt the updated articles. This will be a second of 3 readings on this. And then item 2 is consideration of an ordinance to update Article 5.3.1.2 of the Land Subdivision Development Code. Second of 3 readings. And Ms. Skelton and Mr. Westcott updated me and said that item 3 will be a first reading. This will be a consideration of an ordinance amending the city code for offenses involving public safety, health, and welfare. Article 4 in the ordinance of 2477. So this will be, Mr. Smith had to make some modifications to this, so this will be a first reading this time. And
Can we, what exactly is going to be happening in it? I'm sure it's just cleanup and whatever, but what are the particulars in there?
There was more regulations that I was able to find that was passed by ordinance regarding ATVs and other regulations that basically I hadn't found before because they hadn't pulled up under some of the search things correctly, and so they were just incorporated in.
so you're just bringing old ordinances into one.
Okay.
We're just codifying those things.
That's correct. It's just adding to the code
Gotcha.
stuff
Yep.
like the pet policy and ATVs and a few other things that I hadn't found before, but they're being added
Perfect.
in there.
Did you have something, Mr. George? Okay, no problem. Item 4 is a consideration of an ordinance to rezone a certain property from R3 to medium high-density residential C2 highway commercial located at the 1500 to 1700 block of Russell Road. This is submitted by Barrett and Associations on behalf of PK Development. This is second and final reading. This is unanimously recommended by the Planning Commission. And then item 5 is consideration of an ordinance accepting the dedication of right-of-ways and easements contained within the final plat located at 1216 Hilltop Drive to the city of Russellville. And this is the second of 3 readings, and this is also unanimously recommended by the Planning Commission. So should be pretty simple there. Finance, Mr. Westcott, as always, will have a lot in our in our section when he comes in. We'll move all that over. Does anyone have anything else for the benefit of the group or anything else? No. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I have a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.